Hello, I'm FJX and welcome back to the video. Today I want to talk about something that I ran across today for the first time in quite some time that really piqued my interest. So it's a service called Chunky. It's something that's existed on Minecraft Java for quite some time. In fact, you've probably seen it without realizing it, but it's something I only just ran across for the first time, and it made me realize that you could actually use this service to emulate effectively infinite Minecraft render distance. So I wanted to show off what this looked like in today's video, give you like kind of the step up from a regular Minecraft render distance, which you're seeing in the background, which by the way is the max Xbox One render distance of 22 chunks, to showing you something where you can see 300,000 chunks on screen at the exact same time. So hopefully you do enjoy this video. You can like it if you do like it because it helps out the channel and lets us know you do enjoy this sort of video. And again, you want to see what Minecraft looks like with this crazy sort of distance, because again, let's show you what Chunky is capable of and how you've probably seen it already, because Chunky is used for two main things. The first one is to show off a building like this without its surroundings. As you can see, these are famous buildings from MC Noodler, pretty famous guy, probably heard of them, but these are chunk-sized buildings that again, you've probably seen, but they're recreated in this way using Chunky, so you can just show off the little builds in their own little way. Again, looks wonderful, really cool thing. I quite like looking at these, and maybe you do too. So it's really useful for doing stuff like small buildings and showing off what they look like, and it's also really useful for applying shaders or like, next level stuff to an entire Minecraft view, because obviously shaders work on like an individual level, but if you want to show off an entire build like this, here's how amazing you can make a certain build look using Chunky. So just bear in mind, some builds take these things into it, because again, we're talking about render distance today. This is just what it can look like, and this is why some of these builds, look slightly different, but this is what Minecraft would look like with the effective render distances that we're talking about today. And the first one I'm going to mention is the 8K render distance we've got here. So again, this is the third use for it. This is one that takes a lot of rendering time because the service has to render your entire world out, try to take it into one screenshot. It recreates the shadows, it does a lot of other cool stuff. And as you can see, this is 8,000 chunks all being shown on screen at once. And to put that in perspective compared to the regular world that you're seeing in the background, I can look at max, when things aren't being too stressed by the flying, about 400 chunks, because 22 chunks is about, 400 chunks. This is 8,000 chunks all on screen at once, and this is pretty, crazy by itself. Like, look how much you can see on screen at one time. This is just how much can be seen with 8,000 chunks, but this is just the start of where we're going in today's video, because this is the next level version of it. This is 30,000 chunks. So these are all super high resolution things. You can zoom in pretty close if you want to. This is 30,000 chunks of Minecraft render distance. It's not done in a perfectly evenly way, so you can see there's weird gaps in it. It looks a little bit odd, but this is what it would look like if you could see 30,000 chunks in Minecraft at the exact same time, and it just blows me away seeing those mountains at that distance, because the further away Minecraft gets, because it uses voxels of course, the more those voxels blend to make more consistent structures, and they just look like mountains you're seeing. This could be a real world map at certain points, until you look at the buildings where you're like, that's Minecraft builds. This could just be a real section of a real world map, and that's pretty crazy, but it's not quite as crazy as this next one here, which is, an island city with 35,000 chunks, and although some of them are ocean, as you can see at the edges there, the fact that we can see an entire ocean all at the same time, an ocean which has different biome shifts, which has huge builds taking up the majority of it, is pretty crazy. And you can see, by the way, it's a Mineplex building. I only just spotted that now, but you can see looking at the island, it is just immense, the details you can see in the furthest, corners. And again, it's the same thing from before, where the further away you get from something, the more realistic it tends to look. And this city just looks like it could be any video game. Like, you could convince me this was a screenshot of like, like Tropico 4 or some, game based on an island, and I'd be like, yeah, of course it is. This can't be, like Minecraft, but it is Minecraft, just with an intense render distance, with a few other effects applied to make it look super realistic. But this is just a Minecraft world looking super great. But again, like I said, things don't just stop there, because the next one we're going to be showing off is not just 35,000 chunks, it's the next level up from that, I would say, because we have 40,000 chunks. So adding an extra 5,000 chunks in there, and honestly, in these small distances, it's kind of tricky to quite work that out, but because of the angle they've chosen, you can see how this forest, again, it just looks like a realistic forest. And even just those extra 5,000 chunks from, 30 to 35, then 35 to 40, applied with those extra effects to the world, it makes it look so realistic, and it makes it look so amazing, like you're looking out, the side of the plane or something, onto an island you're about to land onto. It looks that good, and it's just super seriously impressive, but it's not quite as impressive as the next one here, which is going to be a 55,000 chunk, world. So 55,000 chunks, it's such a hard thing to even, like, imagine how much you can see on screen right now, but this takes, like, hours and hours of, rendering, because to go that distance, we're talking, like, over 100 chunks in every single direction, all taking up in the same place, all being rendered, all having those shadows applied. It's such a huge job to get this to happen, but again, you can see the entire island, and it just looks real. I'm so convinced that someone just took a screenshot, then made it look a little bit cubey in the foreground. Like, if you look in the bottom right, you can see the cubes and how it, like, layers up like that, but then this, in the distance, it just looks like a really impressive photograph of a real island that then has some weird blocky problems, like a Minecraft fan island, because someone bought an island and named it Minecraft or something. But no, it's a real, Minecraft world that's just been rendered out like that. The second most impressive one here is almost doubling that at 85,000 chunks, and this world, because it has holes in it, because it's only the parts of the world they've explored, again, bear in mind, most people haven't explored this much world. Even in a huge world where you've tried to explore as much as you humanly can, you still cannot even explore all of this distance at once. But this is a guy who has a survival base with 85,000 chunks worth of exploration. The crazy thing about this world is you kind of have to zoom in and look around it to truly appreciate it, because again, looking at it from this distance, it's just too much. There's too much you can see. It looks like you're just in space or something. But if you're looking really closely at any particular build, the fact that you can look into a very small section of the image, like you're doing right now, and still see really impressive builds. Like, we can see that Colosseum style thing, we can see these huge builds, and they still look really impressive in the distance. And this is while we're zooming into a certain section. We can zoom into any given biome, and it looks like just a real, look at that Minecraft biome. And the fact that we can do this looking around the entire world, it just goes to show how 85,000 chunks, if we could see all of that at once, we would be able to just see the entire Minecraft game. Like, at some point, it makes Minecraft look too realistic, I think. Like, the edge of the world is not something you think about, because you don't need to think about things that far away. Imagine if from, this in the bottom left, you can see, that castle all the way from the top right. That would just be too much information to have. You wouldn't be able to deal with it, in my opinion. But the craziest one, the reason I actually kind of wanted to make this video, was someone who did the, like hours and hours and hours of rendering on a custom terrain world. It's, it's meant to be show off like really cool terrain, and they figured the best way to show this off would be doing a huge 300,000 plus chunk render. So bear in mind, this means that there's more than 500 chunks in any given distance, and 500 chunks like sounds like kind of low at that point, but 500 times 16, that's about 8,000 blocks, sorry, you're going to see in any given direction. And 8,000 blocks in Minecraft is such a hard thing to put into words. Like, an entire large Minecraft Xbox One or PS4 size world is only 5,000 blocks from end to end, and you never really explore end to end because it's just too big. And this is bigger than that, almost double as big as that. A 300,000 block world is too big to comprehend, and looking at this, you can see why. There is so much, this has lighting going on too, so some of that, the impressions of that. This is so intense to look at. It's gone realer than real. It's like, how if you look at certain TVs, they look better than real life, and, arguably, maybe that's just how you see things, but this is kind of like that, where this looks better than the real life would look. Everything is just too intense. You can see the entire world. This looks like, some imaginary planet, some really impressive graphically visual game, but no, this is Minecraft custom terrain. Like, the volcano gives that away, by the way, but this is custom Minecraft terrain that just looks that good. I can't imagine how long this took to render. I can't imagine how long this would even take to explore in survival, to, like explore in a world, to have all these chunks render in. But the intensity of this, the insanity of this, is something I really wanted to share with you in today's video. So here is what Minecraft would look like with a functionally infinite render distance. Like, if you go beyond this, like anything beyond that distance, like kind of blends together. Honestly, the difference between 30,000 chunks and 300,000 chunks was not like that huge. And 300,000 to 3 million, you might think, oh, but wouldn't that be, close to infinite? You wouldn't really see too much. You'd just be able to go further back from it, because there's so much more detail than you can ever take in any one of these images, and that's why you don't see distances beyond this. But this is what Minecraft would look like with a functionally infinite render distance, and at some point, given how well optimized the Bedrock version is, we might see something closer to this, because even playing with like 64 chunks on there, you can see so much more than you ever imagine. And yeah, I don't know, it gets my creativity running, and I wanted to just share it with you all, because I love seeing this stuff. It blows my mind, and maybe it did for you too. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. As always, like this video if you did like it, because it helps out the channel a lot. Let us know you do like these sorts of videos, share if you really liked it, and subscribe if you're new around here, because I make videos like this one every single day on my channel. And if you subscribe with notifications turned on, you'll see those daily on your homepage. I really do like to share the sorts of things that, like, again, they revitalize my imagination for like what Minecraft can show and what Minecraft can be. And I hope all of you do appreciate that, because for now, I'm going to see you all next time. Have a nice day. Bye.